When we feel blocked, it can be super frustrating, especially if you've got no idea how to push through that block or how to get over that block and you're kind of just waiting to get unblocked. So in today's video, I'm going to share an exercise that is going to help you move through that block. So whether it's that you're feeling creatively blocked or whether there's a block because you're afraid of what comes next or you just don't know, today's video is going to help you move through that block exactly the way that you want. So grab your notebooks and we're going to dive in. Okay, the first thing to understand when we are working with blocks, when we're working with mental blocks or creative blocks, is that I don't know is a great sign. Now, this is super, super important because creativity is all about how we use the mind and how we respond to the mind. So once we learn how to retrain ourselves in those two areas, our creativity is going to flourish and it is going to be there when we want it to be there. Now, often for me, when I'm working with a client and I ask them a question and they say, I don't know, I don't take that as a sign that there's a dead end. For me, I'm thinking, oh great, we are just beginning here. So I've got a totally different way that I respond to I don't know. Like for me, it's a great sign. It's a sign of a beginning. It's a sign of something new about to happen. And so that's how I'm saying when we respond to the mind in a different way. We're responding to that I don't know, not as, oh, this is a dead end, but rather, goody, 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 this is a beginning. And it also shows us that we get blocked when we respond to, say, what the mind is telling us, as in, I don't know. We respond to that as something that's fixed, something that isn't going to change. So when we say, I don't know, it's like, oh, I don't know, I'm never going to know. Like there's no way to know. And so we're using the mind in this fixed way rather than seeing how we can use the mind slightly differently. And so it means that rather than I don't know becoming a this is how it's always going to be, this is how I'm going to continue to use my mind, it becomes a I don't know in this moment, but if I use my mind differently, then in the next moment I am going to know. So we use the mind differently, we respond to the mind differently, and our creativity gets unblocked or our mental block dissolves. Okay, so it might be that you've got a few blocks. It might be that you're feeling mentally blocked in more than one area. But for the purposes of today's video and the exercise that I'm going to take you through, I want for you to choose one. You can always choose one, take it through the video, go through the exercise, and then come back, watch the video again, and bring all of your other blocks. Like this video isn't going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. But in order to get the best value from the video, you've got to choose one thing. Now, sometimes that in itself can become the block, like, oh my God, like, what am I going to choose? So I would say choose the first thing that comes to mind, or choose the block that you're like, oh my God, if I could get moving on this, that would make such a significant difference. So sometimes it can be the block that you feel is like taking up the most bandwidth in your mind, or the most I don't know block that you've got. And it can really be great to tackle those ones because then you really build your confidence. You're like, oh my God, like that block, I thought that block was there forever. If I can get over that block, then my goodness, what else can I get over kind of thing. So first of all, I want you to write that block down. Like just take a moment. What's the block? What's that one thing that you're in a place of like, I don't know what comes next. I can't see the way forward with this. Beyond this point, I haven't got any ideas. So it might be that you're in a block with a project. It might be that you're in a creative block with where your writing is going. It might be that you're in a block in a relationship. You don't know what direction to take the relationship into. So choose your one thing and write it down. Okay, so you've got your block on the page. You're really clear. This is the one that I'm going to be working on today. So take a moment to look at the block. And I want for you to say to yourself, like literally in your head as you're looking at the block, this is a good thing. Okay? So you're going to read the block in your mind. You're going to read it through. And then in your mind, you're going to be like, this is a good thing. Do it a couple of times, as weird as it seems. And also don't be like, oh, I'm not, like I'm not going to do that bit. That bit's a bit weird. Like this is really important because you're literally using your mind in a different way. If it feels weird, that's usually a sign that the mind is like, don't make me be used in that way. I want to keep being used in the same way I was before. But of course, we know that way is blocked. So we're literally using the mind in a different way. We're thinking about the thing that we're blocked and we're saying, this is great. This is a really good thing. Okay. So now I want for you to write down, why is I don't know a good thing? So just write that down on the page. Why is I don't know a good thing? Okay, so you've got that question on the page. So what I want to do now is just explain it to you before we start to journal on this. I want you to imagine that I don't know, like this place of the block, I can't see anything. I'm not sure what to do next. I haven't got any ideas. I want for you to see that as you've walked to where the edge of the path has been built. So you've been walking along in your mind, along this particular path in this particular area that you've chosen, and you've come to the edge. And that's why you don't know, because the path hasn't been built any further. So the reason this is a good thing is because you've got to your limits. And this is exciting because it means from now on, you're going to be taking yourself beyond your limits. So you're going to be testing yourself. You're going to be increasing your mind's power. You're going to be exploring new creative lands. So you're taking yourself in this moment into new territory by going beyond that I don't know. So when we respond to the block in a new way, we use the mind differently. And so we are looking at this I don't know as a place to start building a new path, rather than like, oh, this is it. This is as far as I go. This is as far as I'm able to think about. You're actually saying, right, this is where I begin. This is where I begin laying new path. So for the second part of the exercise, we really want to start teaching our mind this concept. Because here's the thing, you might be listening thinking, well, it sounds good. It sounds like a great idea. Woohoo, I'm about to build a new path. But your brain is going to be like, how do I do that? Because if you knew how to do that, you wouldn't be blocked and you'd still be journaling along your current path. So first of all, we need to actually teach the brain the way that we want it to be working, the way we want it to be responding to things in a new way. So as I said, remember, creativity is about how we use the mind and how we respond to the mind. So we've got to teach it. We've got to teach it how to use it differently, and we've got to teach it how to respond differently. So I want for you to just take a moment to remember something that you did as a child. So it's going to be an activity you did, and it might be an activity that you've done slightly more recently. So you can go back into the distant past, like something that you did when you were young, or maybe something that you did last year or even last month. But I want for you to think of something, an activity or a project or a task that was creative. So think back. It might be that you imagine yourself working on something when you were growing up. Might be that you were like, oh yeah, when I was growing up, I had this task or this hobby or this thing I used to practice that was quite creative. It might be an activity that you took part in quite recently. It might be something that comes to mind that you did just a couple of years ago. So whatever it is, the only requirement is that you're like, yeah, that was something that was creative. It was something that I was doing that involved using my imagination, that involved making stuff up or coming up with ideas or thinking on the spot. So I want for you to take yourself to that time. Really think about it. And again, get your notebooks, and again, just make a note of what that activity is. So say you were thinking about, oh, when I was 7 and I used to play guitar. So you're like, okay, it was when I was 7 and I was playing guitar. So just make a note of what the activity was. Okay. So we've got the area that you're blocked. We've got that question of why is I don't know good. And then we've got your reminder of the action or the pursuit or the hobby that you have done at some point in your life that was creative. So now I want for you to close your eyes. Get comfortable closing your eyes and take a deep breath in. And let that breath go. And I want for you to see yourself taking part in that creative activity. So whatever it is you've chosen, however long ago it happened, I want for you to see yourself as if you're looking out of your eyes, but you're going to see yourself back in the moment where you were taking part in this creative project or hobby or activity. So you're seeing out of your eyes and you're seeing that you are being creative. Like you're really imagining it in your mind's eye. So start to get a sense of your surroundings. Start to get a sense of what you can see and what you're doing. So you might be looking around and you might be in a specific environment that matches the project that you're working on. It might be things that you're able to notice, and also specific things that you're doing. I want for you to see it all around you. Really picture it happening. So there's movement as well. You're actually seeing yourself taking action, moving, and it may be that the scenery around you is moving as well. Like you're really bringing it to mind. Keep the experience, keep the visuals, keep using your imagination, keep creating this scene. And now start to get clear on what you're thinking. So you're seeing yourself in this time, you're really noticing what you're doing, you're picturing it, and you're now noticing what you're thinking. So as you're involved in this creative act, what kinds of things are you saying to yourself? Like what thoughts are in your mind? It may be that there's other people there and they're saying things to you or you're speaking to them. So again, you've got your internal dialogue or the internal soundtrack, but you've also got the external dialogue or the external soundtrack. So really start to notice all of the sounds and thoughts and phrases that are being spoken or heard. So you can see it, you can hear it, and now really get clear on the way that it feels. Really experience how it feels to be in this moment, being creative. What's it like in your body? What does your body feel like? And what is so creative about what you're doing? Like really get a sense, like what is it that's creative about this moment? Is it to do with the way that it feels? Is it to do with the specific things that you're doing? And get clear also about what you like about this experience. What part of this moment is enjoyable? What part of the experience do you feel really drawn to? Really allow yourself to know that, like to really get a sense of what it is that you like. and feel it. Keep breathing as you're experiencing this. And now what I want for you to do is I want for you to think of a word or two that describes this moment. So wherever it is you are, whatever it is you're thinking, this creative pursuit, I want you to think of a word or two that describes this moment as you're experiencing it right now. I want you to choose the word or two, hear it in your mind, really get a sense of it. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes and write down that word or two. Okay. So now we're going to put it all together, folks. So you've got your block, got your mental block, you've got your creative block, you've got the phrase, why is I don't know good? And now you've got the word or the couple of words that you've written down that is describing the experience that I've just guided you through. So I want for you to see that word or two on the page and really remember the experience that you just had. Get a sense of this word or two and the experience that it describes. And what I want for you to do is I want for you to look at the block and I want for you to describe why that block is a good thing from the perspective of the experience that you've just had and the word or two that you've used to describe it. So say your block is, I'm really blocked because I want to update my website and I don't know how to do it. And the experience is when I was 7, I was playing the guitar, and the word that I've chosen is musical. That for me really describes the experience as it was for me when I was 7 and I was playing the guitar. So I'm going to look at my block. I'm not sure how to update my website. I'm going to ask myself, how is this block a good thing? And I'm going to look at the word musical. So I'm going to experience that feeling I had when I was a child and I was playing the guitar, and I'm going to answer, how is this block a good thing as I'm experiencing that feeling as I'm remembering myself playing the guitar and getting a sense of the block being a good thing because it's the beginning of building a new path. So for the next 2 minutes, you're going to imagine why that block is a good thing because it's the beginning of you building the new path from the perspective of the word and that creative experience that I was having you really envision and embody. So we're going to go for 2 minutes with this exercise, really drawing it all together. It's a good thing because you're about to build a new path and you're building that path from the experience of that creative memory that you're summarizing in 1 or 2 words. 2 minutes, folks. Off you go. Okay, so just finishing that off. So the final thing to do is to make some kind of commitment, because what this exercise is going to help is just to start to open up your mind in a new way. So as I said, this idea about creativity is all about the way that we use the mind and how we respond to the mind. So those exercises are teaching you how to use the mind differently. So you're responding to the block in a new way, as in, yay, this is a good thing. And we're using the mind differently because we're using the mind to mine a previous experience of creativity to help show us how we can build the path in this particular instance. And so we're responding to that block in a different way, and we're using the mind to build that new path forward. But we want to make a commitment, because otherwise we just watched a video, we got an interesting insight, and then we just go back to our lives as they were. So let me know in the comments below, what are you going to commit to now? What did you get from this exercise? What did it show you? What was it enabling you to see, and what are you going to commit to? What piece of action are you going to commit to doing? What can you do that's going to take you beyond this block, and it's going to start building that path forward in a new way? I would love to hear from you. And sometimes it can be great just to write down what you got from it and to write down what you're going to commit to. It kind of gives you that second layer of accountability. And if you found this exercise really useful and you think accountability is something that you need, then come and join us in the Write No Matter What community. It's a creator community. It's all about making sure that you keep taking action. It's all about making sure that you develop the mind and you start to upgrade your mind to really be the creative that you know that you can be. So you'll find a link below in the comments to come and join us in the Write No Matter What community. We would love to have you there. Hope this exercise worked for you. Hope it's really showing you how to get beyond those creative blocks, really transform those mental blocks and start building that new path to your dreams. Really look forward to seeing you next week and doing more deep work. Take care till then.